So, how do you start a revolution? It helps if you have a massive, globe-spanning corporation on the verge of collapse. Meet the British East India Company. By 1773, they were the 18th century equivalent of a corporate disaster, sitting on about 17 million pounds of unsold tea rotting in London warehouses. They had mismanaged their way into a crisis, and like all well-managed entities, they ran to the government for a bailout. Parliament, seeing this behemoth that was deeply intertwined with the entire British economy, decided to help. Because propping up failing corporations with taxpayer-adjacent money is a time-honored tradition. The solution they came up with was the Tea Act of 1773, and this is where it gets beautiful. The act didn't add a new tax. In fact, it made the official legal tea cheaper in the American colonies than ever before. Cheaper even than the smuggled Dutch tea that everyone, including John Hancock, was drinking. The plan was brilliant in its complete lack of understanding of human nature. Make the product so cheap they have to buy it from us, and they'll happily pay the tiny little symbolic tax attached. It was a marketing scheme disguised as a law, designed to trick colonists into admitting Parliament had the right to tax them. They thought they were being clever. The colonists, however, were not idiots. They saw the Tea Act for exactly what it was: a Trojan horse made of tea leaves. It wasn't about the cost of a cup of tea. It was about the principle. Accepting this cheap tea meant accepting Parliament's right to tax them without any representation. Plus, it gave the East India Company a monopoly, which would have wiped out the local merchants who were making a tidy living smuggling their own tea. Groups like the Sons of Liberty, masters of propaganda, framed it as an attack on liberty itself. It's always easier to rally people around freedom than around protecting your smuggling profits. This all came to a head on a cold night, December 16, 1773. A group of colonists, dressed in what they thought Mohawk Indians looked like, which was not very accurate, boarded 3 ships in Boston Harbor. They weren't a chaotic mob. It was organized, quiet, and terrifyingly efficient. Over 3 hours, they systematically broke open 342 chests of tea and dumped the contents into the water. That's over 92,000 pounds of tea, worth about $1.7 million in today's money. They made the world's largest, coldest, and most politically significant cup of tea imaginable. And how did Great Britain respond to this act of protest and industrial-scale vandalism? With calm, measured reason? Of course not. They responded with pure, unfiltered rage. Parliament passed a series of laws known as the Coercive Acts, or, as the colonists called them, the Intolerable Acts. They shut down Boston Harbor, effectively crippling the city's economy. They dissolved the Massachusetts government and installed a military governor. They basically took a simmering disagreement about taxes and turned it into an existential crisis. Instead of putting out the fire, they poured an ocean of gasoline on it, ensuring that a dispute over tea would become a war for independence. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more historical insights. Thanks for watching, nerds!